Yo, what up guys, Izzy here, back with another video, and today we're actually going to be talking about Series 12 and making a tier list about the restricted Pokemon. I know it's a little bit late. I mean, we're already like, what, 2-3 months into Series 12? I thought I'd still make a video about it since we will be having Series 12 for a long time. And I figured, you know, I might as well still make a video about it and just talk about my experience with Series 12, what I think about these Pokemon, and, you know, kind of give you my insight as to which ones would be, like, the best for you to use, and just the overall ones that you can definitely avoid. But anyway, guys, if you do like this content, feel free to, of course, leave a like and subscribe. I'll have more Pokemon content on this way, as well as other content such as Genshin and Warframe, and any other game that I might feel at the moment playing or making content out of. But anyway, guys, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So we're going to be starting from Generation 1 and move our way up to Generation 8. And of course, a lot of the Pokemon are still going to be placed somewhat similar to the last video that I made regarding the tier list of Series 11, since not a lot of things have changed since then, for at least the viability of some of the S tier Pokemon. However, some Pokemon did gain much more viability because of the fact that they are no longer the only restricted that you could choose in the team. As you guys might know, or might not know rather, you can choose 2 restricted Pokemon. This means that Pokemons that were commonly not selected as much because they were better options will now be selected and have another better option in the team as well, if that makes any sense. But anyway, guys, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's go ahead and start off with Mewtwo. Now, as for Mewtwo, time has not been very kind to Mewtwo, honestly. Honestly, there are other Pokemon that could do what Mewtwo does much better and are not subject to just one type, you know? And while that's not really a big drawback, the fact that this Pokemon is psychic, and we are now in a time where we have Calyrex Shadow Rider out on loose, it's really not optimal to have this Pokemon out, as well as having Gevaltol. Mewtwo really doesn't do too much against those Pokemon. However, not saying that it can't do some work, it can definitely do so. However, it does need a lot of work, which is why I will be placing Mewtwo in the C tier. I believe that this Pokemon can still do some work in teams, and like I said, since now we can select 2 restricted Pokemon, it could be probably supported by other, or it could be a support of some sort, like a sub DPS or anything like that. However, not the best option, but still far from the worst options, because we are about to get to the worst option possible, in my opinion, which would be Lugia. Now, Lugia is a D tier Pokemon. Like, I cannot bring myself to tell you guys that this is a good Pokemon. Lugia does suffer from what is commonly known as all my friends are dead syndrome, where it is a very bulky Pokemon and there are good chances that you can survive with Lugia. However, you mainly won't be using this outside of maybe like some sort of weird VGC stall. So I would commonly say avoid using Lugia. Not a really good Pokemon to use, not very offensive, and usually having this Pokemon be the last one standing typically leads to very bad scenarios of just literally not doing anything until you lose, because this Pokemon cannot ditch out damage at all. It does not have a good special attack stat. It's very bulky, and even with a weakness policy, there are far better options to have weakness policy on, such as Solgaleo, which we will get into later on, that actually do damage and can actually benefit from the buff, have way better abilities, and just overall are a better asset to the team rather than just being a bulky Pokemon. So honestly, Lugia, D tier. However, Ho-Oh, the companion legendary of this Pokemon, is actually decent. It's not terrible. I would say it's somewhere around the same tier as Mewtwo, because while it's not great in the current meta, it's still not terrible, and it's still a very strong Pokemon. Ho-Oh is really strong. But currently in the meta, I mean, I really don't see it having any spot versus like any of the other options, and it really doesn't contribute much to the team. It could be very good in a Groudon team. However, for a Groudon team, you more than likely have other options. So typically, I would honestly say Ho-Oh. It's C tier Pokemon. I might change my mind later on, but this is honestly what I think about Ho-Oh. It's really good. Again, it's not bad. It's just that there's better options to have rather than Oh-Oh. Now, then we have the Weather Duo. Right off the bat, I mean, these Pokemon are phenomenal. These two Pokemon are absolute S tier Pokemon. Like, there's literally no shot that these two are not. Groudon has gained a lot more popularity than it previously did due to the fact that now you can use two restricted Pokemon versus previously, which means that now you can commonly run things like Kyogre Zacian, Groudon Zacian, or even something else that can benefit from the sun. Like I said, Ho-Oh, more than likely one of them. The only issue with Ho-Oh is that it can't really be run in a lot of team comps, so I would typically say that, yeah, it's more than likely better to just run a Groudon with anything else, but it's still viable. I would say these two Pokemon remain to be S tier Pokemon because they are just too good to be true. Like, they're just too good, honestly. And right now, weather is very, very dominant. It's very easy to jump into. It's also very easy to build a team around weather. And just overall, if you're a new player, weather more than likely is the way to go, at least in a restricted format, because of how well these Pokemon are designed and how many Pokemon they actually have to support these two. And even then, they could also be supporters to other Pokemon that might not even be restricted. Things like Kartana for Kyogre, things like Venusaur, Charizard for Groudon. There's a lot of options, honestly. There's a lot of options. And while we're on the topic of Charizard, I do also want to mention the fact that the reason as to why Ho-Oh might not be as used as much is because of Charizard being better option for Groudon, since you're not using a restricted slot, you're actually using a regular slot, so that allows you to have any other restricted Pokemon, which is what I was kind of trying to mention previously, but I guess I didn't mention Charizard, but yeah. But anyways, now let's go ahead and jump into Rayquaza. Now, Rayquaza suffers more so from the same issues that Ho-Oh and Mewtwo do. They're not terrible Pokemon at all. They're very strong. Actually, like, Rayquaza has a really strong special attack and attack, which means he can be run either way or both. So he could be a mixed attacker, special attacker, or physical attacker, and he would still be really good. However, his speed does definitely hinder him because of the fact that he's not very bulky, and he would need a lot of support of the team to actually perform. Now, with that said, he is still a very good damage dealer, and there is still some potential there for them. So I would say that Rayquaza is definitely a C tier Pokemon. It's not bad, it's not a terrible option, and it does have a good ability for the Weather Duo. However, not the best and very situational more than likely. So I wouldn't say it's not a great option, but it's, you know, it's possible if you want to use them, I guess. But anyways, as for Palkia and Dialga, now previously in my Series 11 video, I did rate Dialga higher than Palkia, and in this scenario, I'm actually gonna rate them the other way around. Palkia has seen a lot more usage now than it did previously, because of the fact that now that it can actually be run with someone else, like a Kyogre, it is more often than not better than running a Dialga. Now, Dialga is still really good, however, it's less viable than it used to. And again, now that you have options to select another Pokemon alongside you, there are so many better duos to pick, and Dialga really doesn't have too many that actually complement it as well. So I would say that right now, Palkia is an A tier threat, Dialga is a B tier threat. So, yeah. Not the same for Giratina. Unfortunately, Giratina suffers from the same issues that other Pokemon like Lugia do. However, Giratina does what Lugia does not, which is damage. So, this is the only reason I'm placing Giratina at C tier. Now, it could be either Origin or even the regular one, and you're still doing more damage than a Lugia would. So that's the only reason as to why I'm putting Giratina up there, is because it's still a tanky Pokemon, but it also can do some damage, and it's not completely useless, as I believe Lugia to be, in a scenario where we're playing, you know, two restricted Pokemon. Now, that's not to say that Giratina's bad. Again, I'm not trying to say that Giratina or any of these Pokemon in the C tier are bad. They need a lot of support, that's for sure, but they have some qualities in them that would make them viable in a team. So that's why we're placing them in the C tier. Now that we're done with the Diamond and Pearl and Platinum trio, let's go ahead and talk about Generation 5. Now, Generation 5 has a couple of Pokemon and a couple of fusions, so let's go ahead and break it down here. So, Reshiram and Zekrom fall under the same category, in my opinion, as Dialga. They're really good Pokemon, and they could definitely work with, I guess, less support than the C tier Pokemon, and in general, very good against a lot of the strong Pokemon, or the S tier Pokemon, I guess you could say, as Zekrom could be very good against teams that have a Kyogre in them, and Reshiram could be very good against Pokemon such as Zacian, Samosenta, or any other Steel-type Pokemon that might get in the way. They're not the best option, however, they're very good, and they are nothing to be sneezed at, I guess you could say. So Reshiram and Zekrom are in the B tier, alongside Dialga. Very good, because I honestly think that these two Pokemon can be a huge threat. Now, accompanying Lugia would be Kyurem. Now, okay, you might be thinking, why are you putting Kyurem in the D tier? Why would you do that? Like, it does damage, and yes, you're right. Actually, you have a point. You're probably waving your finger at me. You have a point. That's true. However, we are in a format where there are so many Pokemon that can devastate Kyurem, and there are far better options than Kyurem. His Formies are really good, actually. So don't get pissy at me yet. At least as for the Formies, they fall under the same category as Mewtwo, Ho-Oh, Rayquaza, and Giratina, where they are very good Pokemon. They still need some work, but they are still decent and could be viable in a team so long as it's built around them. But Kyurem in and of itself is not that great because it lacks the coverage that Kyurem Black and Kyurem White could offer. Things like I can't really remember the names, but the fire type move for Kyurem White and the electric type move for Kyurem Black come to mind. You have good coverage there, and it's still good against, like I said, some of the meta Pokemon that are in the S tier. They're still really good. So I would personally say Kyurem is not that great, but his Formies are decent. Now, let's go ahead and move along with the next Pokemon, which would be Gevaltol and Sergius. We all know that Sergius has fallen off very, very hard since, I believe, Series 10, where there wasn't any Dynamax. That's the only time that Sergius was actually buzzing. But now that Dynamax is back, and now that you have two options to have Dynamax Pokemon, you have way better options to choose from than having a Sergius. Like, Sergius does take a turn to set up, which is pretty bad already, because you have a better Fairy-type Pokemon. It's like Zacian, and they don't even need a turn to set up. They literally come in with a +1 already. Like, they're really, really good. However, I wouldn't say that Sergius is still terrible. There are Pokemon that can definitely support it to be very good, such as Indeedee, Clefairy, other Pokemon that could just redirect anything outside of Sergius, and then being able to Dynamax afterwards is pretty good. However, could have a big issue. So I am putting Sergius in the B tier, while I am going to put Gevaltol in the A tier. The reason as to why it kind of, again, does what Lugia doesn't. It's a very bulky Pokemon, but it can definitely do some damage. The difference as to why I'm placing him in the A tier rather than placing it where Giratina is because it's a lot more viable than Giratina, because it does a lot more damage due to the fact that it's boosting its Dark-type moves with this ability. It's also because of the great typing that it has. It's a really good typing. It also has the advantage of Max Airstream, which is huge. And while Pokemon like Rayquaza take advantage of Max Airstream, Gevaltol is a much bulkier Pokemon, thus making it a better option. You can run things like Weakness Policy, you can run Assault Vest, you can run even things like Life Orb, or even Dark Glasses if you are. But actually, it's called Black Glasses, I believe, so yeah. There's a lot of options with Gevaltol, so I'm placing him in the A tier. It's a really good Pokemon. It's also a really good Pokemon against a lot of the Pokemon that are in the S tier threats that I'm going to be placing them. And just in general, versus the meta, it's actually still really good, really good. Alright, let's go ahead and talk about Zygarde. Now, 𝘬𝘗𝘗 to me is more so a B tier threat. I was originally going to place him as an A tier threat, but upon reviewing its options, 𝘬𝘗𝘗 isn't really a Pokemon that has a lot of options other than like support Samacenta or any other Pokemon like that. It's a very bulky Pokemon that could definitely set up against you. However, it kind of suffers from the same things that Giratina and Lugia does. However, it still can set up to have a lot of damage. And while I personally haven't faced off against a team that has been very, very good, that has a 𝘬𝘗𝘗, I have, however, had teams that I've faced that do have 𝘬𝘗𝘗 and are very, very annoying to take down. So, because running around its ability can be definitely a hassle, especially if it starts setting up around you. And let me tell you, setting up this Pokemon isn't really that hard. It just takes a Dynamax and a couple of coils to make your day pretty shitty. But it is still a really good Pokemon, and I do consider it better than Giratina or Lugia, so I am definitely going to place him in the B tier, and yeah, joining things like Xerneas, and yeah. But anyways, let's not talk about this Pokemon or this Pokemon, I don't care. They're pretty bad. There's literally no benefit to these Pokemon. Like, they learn like maybe 1 to 3 moves, and they do absolutely nothing, so they're really useless. They're really just bad. They do nothing. However, their evolutions are great. Solgaleo and Lunala, I would say that Solgaleo is definitely worthy of having it be an A tier threat. I've faced off against so many Solgaleo teams, and I've seen some really, really good Solgaleo teams being used in regionals. So I'm gonna say it, like, Solgaleo is a absolute beast. I wouldn't say that it's the best Pokemon out there. I wouldn't say it's an S tier threat. It's definitely an A tier threat though. Like, it's definitely a very, really, really good option, and it has a lot of team comps that it can work on. But in general, I believe that it could definitely be better. But anyways, I'm gonna place him in the A tier. However, for Lunala, unfortunately, it's gonna suffer a plummeting here because it's actually gonna go down to the C tier, because Lunala suffers kind of like the same, like, it has a good typing. I personally think that Psychic and Ghost are a good typing. However, there is a way better option for Ghost Psychic, which is Calyrex. It's a much faster option, a much offensive option. And while Lunala is still a really good Pokemon for Trick Room, it's literally the only setting that it would fall under that it's really good. So Lunala in a Trick Room team could definitely work. However, there are better options for Trick Room teams as well. Like, Solgaleo could actually work very, very well in a Trick Room team. And there are plenty of other Pokemon that are not restricted Pokemon that could run very, very well in a Trick Room team. However, this Pokemon is nowhere near being bad. It's a really good Pokemon. It has a really good ability, but it could be better. It just could be better. Now, Necrozma is not good. Necrozma is super slow, not that great offensively, and it really doesn't have much options. However, when it does fuse with Lunala or Solgaleo, it turns into a much, much better Pokemon. But I am still going to be placing these Pokemon in the same tier that they kind of reside. The reason being is because they're only better in some scenarios. For example, Solgaleo is much, much better because it has the Full Metal ability, which is really, really good, versus what Necrozma does have, which is Prism Armor, if I'm not mistaken. And that only serves as a damage reduction, which is still really good. It's nothing to be sneezed at. However, Solgaleo does have the upper hand as to where it doesn't get its stats lowered, so it's immune to Intimidate, which is a very common thing in VGC. So anything like a Screech, which I've been seeing more frequently, cannot affect this Pokemon. Anything like Parting Shot, which is very common, or Snarl, does not affect these Pokemon, even though Snarl really doesn't affect it at all. And it's probably one of the best weakness policy bearers. It's one of the strongest that benefits the most, and it could definitely buff itself even further with defenses once it Dynamaxes. So it's a really, really good option. And again, Dunsmane can do the same thing, which is why I'm placing it in the same tier as Solgaleo. It's just there's different instances for each one. Like I said, Full Metal Body is really good because it can mitigate the drops of stats, but Duskmane is really good because it has damage reduction. So damage reduction is really good. Same thing goes for Lunala. The only difference is that it's only a little bit better than Lunala, but really not by much. Not that I would say it's way too good.
A few moments later.
Now, upon reviewing the options and the information regarding Lunala versus Dawnwing, I actually do want to switch Dawnwing over Lunala because of the fact that even though they're kind of the same, they do fill out the same role. Dawnwing is a much better Trick Room option and is much better than regular Lunala by literally almost every margin except for HP, which is still very important. However, the ability that Lunala has can only work when full HP, whereas Dawnwings works every time, and it only has just a bit less HP, but it has everything more buffed. It has more special attack, more defense and SPDEF, and has lower speed, which is much preferred for a Trick Room. So I would personally say that yes, Dawnwing is better than Lunala. Not by much, but it's still up there. It's enough to actually push it above Lunala, because I don't feel like it would be fair to put Dawnwing next to Lunala because of the fact that it's just a much better Lunala, honestly. So, yeah. Anyways, let's go ahead and move into Generation 8, and we have Zamazenta and Zacian. Now, I don't like Zamazenta that much. I'm gonna be real with you guys. I really don't like Zamazenta that much. However, I don't think it's a bad Pokemon, and I do feel like it is a very good supportive option. But in regards to supportive options, I feel like there's so many better options. There's like, you wouldn't want to use your restricted slot on a supportive option when you can use anything else as a supportive option. However, Zamazenta does offer really good tankiness, really good offense, really good support, and honestly, it's a much better option. Like, if you are going to use your restricted for a supportive slot, Zamazenta is a really good option. It is a really good duo for some Pokemon that are physical, such as Solgaleo and Zygarde. So I am gonna place him in the B tier. I do believe that it definitely deserves its place in the B tier. It's a really good Pokemon. I believe place him in the B tier last time I did a tier list. So yeah, I feel very comfortable placing them there. They're still really good, and they're still very annoying to take down sometimes. So yeah. But let's go ahead and talk about Zacian. Now, Zacian is an S tier threat. Like, if I were to put a S tier plus, I would put Zacian in there, because Zacian is literally like the best option for a restricted Pokemon that you could ever have on your whole team. Like, it's such a good option. It's actually kind of ridiculous, and it's just a really good option, honestly. Like, it's really strong. It's really fast. It has excellent typing. It has really good coverage. Like, the coverage options that Zacian have are insane, and it can run so many different sets. Of course, it can't use any other item. However, it's still really good for the moves that it learns. It can run Wild Charge, Second Sword. It can run Close Combat, I believe. It can run, like, so many options. It's ridiculous. So, in this case, I would definitely place them in the S tier. Now, taking a look at Eternatus, it doesn't have the same luck. While it does have the same perks, I guess you could say, as a Pokemon like Zacian, whereas the move that it uses does a lot more damage to Dynamax Pokemon. I don't think it's a really good Pokemon at all. I would go as far as to saying that it could be D tier. However, because of the offensive capabilities that this Pokemon has, and also the fact that this Pokemon is very bulky, I would definitely say that it's a C tier Pokemon, because as well as like most of the Pokemon that are in the C tier, they are either very bulky or very offensive, and Eternatus is both. Also, the fact that this Pokemon doesn't Dynamax makes it so that you can have another Pokemon to be the main focus for a Dynamax Pokemon. I would typically not say that Eternatus is a good pick for you, but if you do like the Pokemon, it's definitely good. And like I said, offensively, it's very strong, and defensively, it's very bulky, and it can be even bulkier when you set up with it. However, setting up with it can be very annoying or very slow. So if you like that type of gameplay, you can definitely do so. But there are much better options. In fact, there is a non-restricted option that's called Naganadel. It is a much better option in my opinion, because it has a much better ability, and it's a very strong pick, and you don't have to actually waste your restricted slot in order to have that in your team, if you know what I mean. But anyways, let's go ahead and go with Calyrex. Now, regular Calyrex is really bad. Like, you can kind of see a pattern here where most of the Pokemon that can actually fuse are really bad. Like, You can see Kyurem's here, Necrozma is here, and Kyrax is now here. But versus their fusions, they're actually insanely good. Like, Calyrex is insane. Like, Shadow Rider and Ice Rider are super, super good. I would say that they're S tier. Now, Ice Rider has fallen off just a bit. It's still a very dominant Pokemon. It's still really, really strong. It has a super good ability, which is 𝘗𝘕𝑦𝑦 or 𝘗𝘠𝑚𝑛𝑦, which does boost them up every time they take down Pokemon. And my gosh, they do it frequently. So it's really, really good. These Pokemon in the S tier are just Pokemon that you can literally pick up and make a team really easily. And they're just really, really good. Like, you could actually just go brain dead and just get dubs. Not like that, but you know what I mean. Like, they're really, really, really good, and I honestly like all of these 3 Pokemon. Now, A tier is really good. Like I said, these are just not as great as maybe these Pokemon, but they're still really, really good options, and they still don't require too much support. Most of these Pokemon that are up here don't require any support at all, or most support, because these Pokemon pretty much carry teams, essentially. These Pokemon just need a little bit of support, while the other teams that are under here require a little bit more. These ones are just useless, though. These ones, just avoid using them. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Lugia. Okay, Lugia mains are molding right now, but it's not my fault. Like, get a better fucking main. I'm sorry. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this tier list. This is for Series 12, and I believe we're gonna have Series 12 for around August or so, I believe. So, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe for more Pokemon content, as well as any other content that I do in the channel. And also, feel free to follow my Twitch account. The link is in the description below. It'll also be in my channel. I stream every weekend, and also I do try to stream on the weekdays. So if you guys are interested, feel free to click follow and support me. I really do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Take care, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.